channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Here we are.
Dungeons and Dragons together?
Dragons and Dungeons.
Yeah.
Both of them.
We don't necessarily guarantee both in every session, but you're gonna get them, eventually. Also, lots of other things. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I'm the Dungeon Master, and this is my Dungeon Master guarantee. There are both Dungeons and Dragons in this campaign. We've actually seen some already. Anyway,
Sure.
our players tonight, Mark Kilfoyle as Nedry Shiny Rock.
I begin to question the whole Dungeons and Dragons thing, really.
Jenny Meltzer as Zaline.
Hello. I had no questions.
John Merlin as Baldu.
While the feed might be live, I'm feeling slightly warmed up dead.
And Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn.
Good evening. Why are you feeling up the slightly warmed up dead?
It's not that I'm feeling them up, it's just that's how I'm feeling.
Are we still doing phrasing?
No.
Oh, phrase. I'm so bad at phrasing.
Well, the funny thing is that even the joke about whether or not we're still doing phrasing is old now. Anyway, been a little bit since we had a proper session, and even in this case, we are still down Starla as Lynn. But when we last left our heroes, they were all in the Tashmian imperial capital of Pashan, and they were running various errands, passing time while they prepare for a trip to the Feywild via the gigantic interplanar world tree Emirate Arboris, which is in another city. So you will be teleporting to the other city and then arranging to travel to the Feywild from there. But before you are, getting ready to head out, your compatriot, your colleague, friend, spy, Ivy, asks Lynn, and I think it brings this to all of you, which is to say, I know that the plan is to travel to the Feywild, and that we have decided for the moment to leave the acquisition of the amulet, the necklace, for later, and that's perhaps fine. But I do have a little bit more investigating that I feel like we could get more information with a little bit more digging. So I wonder if I could borrow Carolina for a little while. Perhaps while the rest of you go ahead to arrange our passage to the Feywild, she could stay with me here for a little bit longer, and then when we will come to join you for the trip.
You're going to give her back, though, right?
Well, of course. I mean, she's not mine to either give or take, but I suppose I would ask her to accompany me, and my intent would be for us both to rejoin you before you travel to the Feywild.
Okay. As long
Seems
as you
good.
give her back.
And so she agrees, and so are the rest of you ready to? We'll assume that a couple of days may have gone by where you accounted for whatever other errands you might have needed to take care of. Spent time transcribing spells into spell books or other sorts of miscellaneous errands. Is there anything anyone wants to cover before before it is time to travel?
Mm. No, not really.
All right. So, you have once before been through the Pashan teleportation circle when you were being brought from Emirate Arboris in custody the last time. Thankfully, this time you are more at your liberty to travel as you please rather than under guard. But it is otherwise a very similar process. They have a permanent teleportation circle here in the city, and it's been arranged that you don't have to pay for your individual passage in this case. And so you travel to where it is, and they, the people who run it arrange the spell, and you all just run into the little glowing column of light and emerge many miles away in the city of Emerald Arboris. Immediately, you notice the air is less humid, a bit warmer. And of course, as you leave the teleportation circle building, you see the enormous, towering tree that gives the city its name. This tree that spans all the different planes and provides a means to travel through them to the knowledgeable. And you have arrived in Emerald Arboris. What would you like to do?
Does anybody else feel like we're missing the commentary that Carolina would give us if she was here again?
Yes, and the excitement.
Yeah.
She was-
Yeah.
She would always be bouncing up and down.
Well,
smiling.
I could prepare a list of questions to ask her when she joins us.
Oh, that would be good.
Okay, but I don't think that you should go to the library while we're here.
I think they probably have my name or my face on a poster at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't have my shadow friend anymore, so they probably won't get me.
Oh, well, if they were smart, they would have increased security there and added more ways to combat fire.
But it wasn't our fault.
No,
No.
but I still feel kind of guilty about it.
Yeah. I definitely need to go there and apologize and find out what I can do to make amends. I
Maybe
kind of
more
set
time
some
should
things
pass.
on fire. How long has it been? I mean, it's been a couple of months, hasn't it?
Time is a little bit strange.
Yeah, that's campaign time. Probably a couple of weeks at least.
But we also spend a lot of time in that other place where time didn't matter. So
It's really hard to tell. I mean, subjective time would suggest that it's been quite some time, but objective reality time suggests less. It's actually a really great way to spend your time when you can spend it with extra time. Sometimes.
Mm,
Okay.
I've been working on the spell Haste. I think it should be useful for that.
that is a nice thing. Very nice.
Well,
So we're probably going to be here at least a day. Need to get lodgings. Any other tools? Maps,
I-
maybe.
I just have a bit of a question. You mentioned something about your face being on posters and the need for sort of like better fire suppression type whatsits. And I'm just wondering, like, is there any particular city where you guys are welcome?
Mm,
Well, it's not that bad in Bashan now. We cleared that whole incident up.
yeah, I mean, I don't think we're unwelcome here, but we did inadvertently cause a ruckus when we went to the library to do some research and meet Nedry's former master.
yeah. But
It
we
wasn't
are
our
welcome
fault.
in Emersham. I mean, we're the heroes of the festival and
Well,
of the town.
Most of us welcome us in Emersham.
Yeah, I don't think they welcome me. I could be wrong.
Well, there was some specific individuals who didn't like you very much, but you did win.
That's true.
We won, we partied,
Saved them from a dragon.
we did.
Mhm.
We saved them from
Yeah.
a
The
dragon.
The dragon port's important, I think. Man, you really
Yeah.
miss Lynn at times like this. She would have this much better way of putting all this.
True.
All right, I'm just, I've just trying to figure out what my saddle's been hitched to, I guess.
Well, Zinhorn has a very good reputation in Pashan. Aside from the building that was trapped in a small dimension, that was all of us, really. But
Yeah,
the people
but
at the
we're-
orphanage like you.
again, we got the survivors out. We brought the people back.
cleared of wrongdoing, which you were only
Yeah.
circumstantially suspected of in the first place, and then you rescued people.
We made it better, but people are
we
weird.
got better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go better.
I mean,
Alright.
technically, we saved a town from, well, a tower that was eating people, so that part was good. There was a monster that was released that we sort of adopted, so that might be confusing. And then there's Evan.
Evan's standing over to the side. The camera just pans over a little bit. Hi, I'm Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm still not entirely sure was a good idea. No offense, Evan.
He's like
How am I supposed to
really,
not be offended by that?
yeah, he's really pulled his weight.
He has.
I mean, if you like this life, I suppose.
Oh, so the concern is that it might not have been a good idea out of concern for my safety.
Well, you did die once, and other things.
And he gets a 1,000-yard stare for a while. Yes, I did.
Yeah, but you got better.
It's true. Here
It's
I
true.
Yep.
am.
What sort of wagons do you normally hitch to, Baldu?
Well, like, I mean, I don't. So, like, this is all kind of new for me. I've mentioned this a little bit in passing to one or two of you, but like, I've never really spent this much time on this plane before. Like, I'm normally only here for, maybe an hour if I really have to seek somebody out and they make me work for it. But normally, I'm, 10 minutes here and then back to whence I came.
Do you
Remind
have
me of Wuta.
any? Yeah, kind of. Maybe that's where Wuta went.
Oh, you don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any like friends in the Shadowfell? Like
Well,
people that you hang out with?
well, I mean, like, as much as any, like priest type guy has friends. We got the other priests and monks and whatnot that I talk
Wait,
to.
you're a
and-
priest?
Oh yeah, yeah. The robes weren't a giveaway.
Nope, not really.
No,
The other weapons and other acts of everything kind of suggested otherwise.
I mean, like, there's all kinds of priests.
It's true, I suppose.
But yeah, I mean, like, I spend most of my time there in the temple, reading and whatnot, and sweeping and cooking, and when it's my turn, and yeah, like there's others around there, but we're all kind of all doing our own thing. It's not like I got, not like there's a group of us gets together on a Wednesday night and plays cards or anything.
So, what sort of stuff do you read?
Do I read? Oh, like scripture. Those books that have been handed down to us by the Mistress of the Dark.
Wisdom or
He gave you books?
parable?
Well, it's like, there's the topics range quite not actually that widely at all, really. There's a lot on like good ways to deal with, those who should be dead but aren't. Those who are dead but won't stay dead, and those who you just want dead. It's like, yeah, so
But what about the greater mysteries of existence? The very concepts of soul and mind and heart. I've been reading some of that stuff, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but it is fascinating.
oh, quite, and a lot of her works touch on that kind of stuff, but I mean, it's a little bit over my head, if I'm honest. Like, she talks about there's this one passage in there about how, like, the soul is bound to the mortal coil and shuffling off and weights of feathers, and it's all a bit beyond me.
That sounds weird. I
I-
mean,
No.
Well, you
shuffling
must have
coils.
books.
I mean, I've
Hmm.
seen coils on distillery machines and in mechanisms.
The mortal coil is something completely different than what you're thinking.
Oh, yeah. But shuffling is dancing. I mean,
But-
it's not the most exciting dancing, but it's
It's
Right,
like
but-
symbolic.
But imagine this, right? Say you were on the mortal coil, and then you shuffled and you danced until you weren't on it no more. That's kind of what I think she's getting at. Like I say, it's like I read and I do my best to understand, but the best bits that I understand, like the passages about sharp, pointy things.
I'm just suddenly imagining Soft Shoe with shuffle off the mortal, shuffle off the mortal, shuffle off the mortal coil.
But it's like a bunch of people that are dressed in like all black with like white mime faces.
Oh, you could do the whole tuxedo thing with skull face paint.
Yes.
You know, the canes and the top hats.
I'm getting Joel Grey from
Cabaret.
Cabaret. Yes.
I'm just seeing like those, anime faces like that have like the weird mascara lines on
Yeah.
their faces and stuff.
Welcome in, bienvenue, you're dead. In any case, just to paint the scene, we could imagine that this conversation is being had as you walk along the streets in the shadow of the enormous tree, or perhaps you have found a little sidewalk cafe or something to sit at. What do you think?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. We'll go to a cafe.
They have very strong coffee that is served in tiny, tiny little mugs, and is very expensive, all things considered. But it does seem to be the trend here. They also have various teas and pastries.
Oh, did we ever have any money?
Yeah, we have money.
You have money.
We have money.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as previously established, but not recently, little stuff like food.
Yeah.
You have petty cash for that. It's not going to be a problem for stuff like that.
So Nedry will try a sample of each of the pastries.
I would just
Yeah.
get like a plate that has like all of them stacked on it and one
Yeah.
of those teeny tiny cups of coffee.
I think Nedry is also doing things like weighing them against each other, like getting a little ruler to figure out which ones are larger and trying to write a little note about how sweet
Right.
each one is.
It's like, I think this one is 25% sweeter, but this one is 10% larger. So what is the proportion?
Right.
Yeah.
Except I imagine he would be talking much faster because he's probably had like 5 of those little teeny
Sugar
tiny
plus
cups.
caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sugar plus caffeine plus tiny little guy.
Yep,
That spell haste he was talking about, you're convinced he must have just cast it.
on himself.
Yeah.
Yep. Zinhorn has got his notebook out and he's tasting every pastry they have, contemplating them, trying to figure out what they remind him of from different shops in Pishan, whether he likes them better or not, what flavors come through. And he's not doing the little cup of coffee. He's got whatever large beverage they have.
Well, so let's decide. How about an Arnold Palmer? They have iced tea that is that they have mixed with lemon infused sweet beverage and
Sure.
yeah, they call it they don't call it the Arnold Palmer, they call it the Arnor
Palmetto, yes.
Palmetto, sure, yeah.
Yes.
Arnor Palmetto.
Yep, one of those.
And I think that just generally speaking, there's a lot of subtle sort of slightly spicy flavors, not in the hot like capsaicin, but just in the the ground spices with a powerful flavor that are different than what you normally get in in Pashan. Not that it's outside the reach of buying it in Pashan, but just less common. And several with like ground nuts in them, or some of them are.
That's my favorite one. It's shaped like a little man, and it's like two of them stacked on top of each other, and inside there's like ground ginger and like a nut paste.
Mm.
That's
I
my
really
favorite.
appreciate that they have gnome-sized coffee, though.
I don't know. I think that everybody is supposed to drink this size.
I mean, it's really nice that everybody at large gets to experience exactly what I have all the time. That sort of dysmorphia between a person's size and the actual world around them.
This is not good.
Can we get some of this to go? Like a lot of this to go?
They do want the mugs back, so they don't really have
Yeah.
coffee cups for those, but you can certainly take pastries with you.
Zinhorn is going to meditate for a few minutes to contemplate whether or not Lesser Restoration will stop Nedry from having a heart attack.
We'll just use the diamonds that we just bought to bring him back if we have to.
I feel so. I can think everything at once.
He just starts furiously writing in his book.
My question is like, how long has it been since Nedry actually slept, so that when the effect of this caffeine wears off, like he's just gonna crash like really hard.
I mean, long before this, he typically fell asleep when he crashed writing spells, and he's been doing a lot of that recently. So, yeah.
So he's gonna be out for like 2 or 3 days at that point.
Yeah. So I think we need an alternate plan, like to find lodgings for a couple of days.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's places around here, like
Yep.
taverns and stuff with like an inn or whatever.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a fairly big city, and it's not only a big city, but it's also a city that is almost defined by being a place that people travel to and through. So there's certainly lots of places like hotels and inns and such.
Yes.
They have like a big chain hotel, like right next to the tree.
Yeah.
It's like the Hilton there.
It's the trees in.
Yes.
No. The Doubletree Inn.
Oh,
There you
no.
go.
Guess that's where we're staying.
The Treeport Marriott.
And what their favorite drink is the Doubletree, because after you've had 2 of them, you'll see at least 2 Emerald Arboris.
Boy, you would have to have some really substantial double vision to see double of a tree that dominates the entire horizon.
Yep. But that's what the Doubletree is known for.
Well, that's because you look in one horizon, you see it. You look at the other horizon, you see it.
I'm surrounded by the
Wow.
tree.
I'm surrounded by horizons. So yeah, I guess we're gonna find a place to stay and then
Mhm.
explore some more.
Yep.
We have to talk to somebody about some travel. Oh, this stuff is great, but I'm going to need another one. We should talk to someone about how to travel to the Feywild, and I don't know a lot about the Feywild. I know Ivy has been there before. It would be nice to find some information.
Didn't somebody tell us somewhere, or is this just my brain remembering something else, that there's like a little class you can take to learn how to use
so
the tree?
when you came through Emerald Arboris before, you learned that right around the tree there is a temple that is sort of primarily associated with like the tree itself, and that is where like priests of Emerald Arboris and everything, like all that training happens, and it's kind of the primary like sort of spiritual like worship center. And that is, and through there is also where you would enter the Shady AG area. You know, the little pocket that is for people who need sort of a wilder, less urban hideaway. But then there are also around the tree a couple of different locations of places where you can hire experienced guides to take you various places through the tree, because you don't necessarily have to have the skill yourself if you have someone who can guide you. It would probably be a very bad idea for someone to try to go anywhere with the tree without training, but you can hire someone to help you.
How long
and-
does it?
Hmm?
Oh, how long does it take to get the training?
It's a long time, especially depending on where you're trying to go, right? Like
Right.
if you got a small amount of training, it might be straightforward to learn like the basics. But if you're going anywhere unusual or dangerous, or in any of those sorts of ways, it takes a long time to kind of be prepared for all of the possible things that might happen.
So we would probably be better off hiring a guide.
Well,
to
and
take
and
us.
recall too that part of the issue is that the whole nature of the way the tree exists at present is that it is, people are able to essentially go where they will with the tree, but that kind of works both ways, right? There's not any real way to control who might try to come here through the tree, including, people who you might be fine with, and also people who might not be fine. So it just means that there are potential hazards, and that's why an experienced guide is usually desirable. As far
Okay.
as getting the training, I think to really be confident in going anywhere you want, it would be a long period of time, like several years probably.
Okay. Ain't nobody got time for that. So
No, but we could go over and check it out and see, what it would entail to hire a guide to take us where we want to go, and
right, and
like
you
how we
know,
would get back when we were ready to leave, things like that.
right.
Well, getting back I can manage. But
Oh, that's right. You can plane shift us back. can't you?
it's a gate spell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I can plane shift at this point.
Plane shift, I want to say, is 6.
We just
You
lost
cut out,
your audio.
Christiana.
Oh, really?
There you
Nope.
go.
There you're
back.
You're back now. That was weird.
Okay. I
She's playing
didn't
with
do
us.
anything. Plane shift, I think, is level 6.
Level 6. I can do level 6. I haven't chosen plane shift, but I do have level 6 spells.
Well, you just need to prepare it after a long rest.
Yep.
My knowledge
but of
of
course, with
extraplanar
plane
travel is limited.
With plane
At this
shift, you
point.
need to have the tuning for it.
Yep. I cannot do plane shift.
Is that not a cleric spell?
Apparently it's not.
Okay.
Or at least not for me.
Well, let's see. No, excuse me. It is a level 7 spell, but it is a cleric spell.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's level
So
7, not 6.
probably next level, maybe.
So in any case, for arranging travel to somewhere through the tree, there are several locations around the base of the tree where that can be arranged. And it's, there is certain overlap with the idea of like a train station. Yeah, only where instead of like there being regular routes with posted times that you just buy a ticket for, it's more like like a brokerage, essentially, where you can arrange to hire someone who's experienced going where you want. I think that one of the things that would probably be relatively common knowledge to anyone who's like learned about that a little bit is that the Feywild, although it's not necessarily considered one of the most dangerous places to go compared to like Outer Planes and some of the the more evil places, because of the slippery nature of how time can slip there. Often, if you want the guide to stay there for any length of time instead of staying on the tree, that's considerably more expensive because of the risk that they might come back to find years had passed or something.
You could make arrangements with them to send a sending spell or something
Mm-hmm.
to like come back and get you or whatever.
Yeah. So the point is that if you want the guide to do more than get you there, it's more expensive.
Okay.
And
Are
by the
there
same token, places that are more dangerous, it might be that you essentially negotiate it with the individual in question.
are there maps or guidebooks to the Feywild?
I think that there are at those stations there are those racks of pamphlets that you often see at like hotels that give you like high level information of a lot of the different places that you could travel to. Um, and some of the real basics there, but of course the library is also a place that you could go to learn more about individual locations and so on.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Maybe we could try to go to the library because maybe we could learn more about this witch.
That's true. Probably go to the lost and found section, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a clever idea.
It's a joke.
I know, but it
Yeah,
might
I
work.
made
You
I
never
made a
know.
joke.
You did.
I liked
Good
it,
job.
says
And
Evan.
we did. We all liked it.
Oh, I wasn't sure.
I think Evan is one of those people who absolutely hears a joke and says, "That's funny," but doesn't actually laugh.
He doesn't laugh. That's funny.
He doesn't laugh because he's dead inside now.
Oh, he's not.
Aw, he is not at all.
He's so alive.
He has scars, but you know, it just makes he builds character.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do we want to do, guys?
I want to go to the library. I really feel like I need to find out how long ago the fire was and find out
Well, I think you would
what it would take
you
to
would
make
know
amends.
that in world, right? Like the
Right,
confusion
okay.
is only related to the meta of how
Right,
long in
oh,
our
okay.
world versus the game world. You would know.
It's been a few weeks. They might not even
Yeah.
recognize us.
I would say it's been a few weeks.
Okay.
I mean, unless you walk in there and they're like, "Sir, you were banned from this place. Maybe don't bring it up."
I gotta, you know, I did something bad.
You didn't do anything bad. You were
I
abused by.
I was abused, but I cast a flame strike and it missed my target, which was bad enough, but it hit a rack of books. So, like, you know, uh, I gotta own up to the fact that I did it, and I find out what I can do to make amends.
Okay, but I think they know it was you. But sure,
Well,
make 'em
we'll
in.
find out when we go. I mean, it was just us in that on that level.
Yeah.
When we go there, I'm gonna attempt to just like walk right by, like I'm not with him.
Hmm.
Just like walk right in, like I belong there.
Well, I mean, all of you but Baldy certainly know where it is. You just head over there.
It's true.
Hmm.
So this is a big fancy building. It's actually compared to Pashan, which has a couple of big libraries. It's maybe not as big physically, but it's certainly a very big fancy building, and would dwarf the library of any smaller city for certain. And it has multiple floors, and as you enter, there's all sorts of you know racks and displays, and there's actually a little bit of a sort of an interesting little like frog pond courtyard thing in the center of the first floor, and there's of course a reception desk. So several of you just, or at least Zaleen at least, just goes and moves to walk on by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do know where things are now.
Yeah, whoever's just going to go and walk on by, go ahead and make a stealth check for me. No, this
Uh,
doesn't need to represent like
Oh, man.
literal, like if you wanted it to be deception or something. I'm just saying if the idea is incognito, you don't notice me, that sort of thing, as opposed to just not saying anything. Right? Like, are you
Yeah.
trying to not be noticed? Is the point?
Nonchalantly. Oh, dirty 20. That's good.
There you go.
Ooh, I
Short
can
enough
roll
not to be
with it.
noticed.
The receptionist is, like at the counter, but is has got a book that she's reading, and so she kind of glances up as you come in, but doesn't pay you a lot of attention. You assume if you went up to the desk, she would look up. So
I'm
sure.
not going to the desk.
Yeah. So I'd say Nedry and Baldu certainly slip by, although Baldu probably doesn't need to because no one. They wouldn't remember him from or anything, but
He doesn't want to be seen with us. Is the real
Never
answer.
pass up an
did
opportunity to roll
you
stealth.
make your stealth check, Seeley?
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
I was gonna ask, like, because I'm wearing my my drow cloak, does that mean I get to roll with advantage?
Well,
Like, it's given
so
me that
here's the
option.
question, though, because recall that your special cloak, if you let it get exposed to direct sunlight, it can lose its magic. So, would you have been wearing it?
Probably not, since we were outside. So I would just roll regular. I just wondered because it was like, do you want to roll with advantage?
Sure.
I was like, wait, why? 14.
Okay. You get a little bit of a like, she looks up and you like just at a moment where you kind of glance over. There's just a brief moment of eye contact, but she doesn't seem to react or anything.
Does she look like the same person who was working when we were here before?
No.
Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna walk on by. Like nothing.
So, Zinhorn.
I walk up to the receptionist.
Okay. So she looks up and just says, "Welcome to the Emirate Arboris Library. How can I help you?"
Yes, several weeks ago, I was here and some people.
Oh, yes. Hold on. And she fishes through
Press the
something
panic
under the
button.
desk and then kind of holds up a piece of paper. And she's clearly looking back and forth between you and like, oh, yes. Okay, your armor is different.
Yes, I got new armor.
Ah, well. So I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
Yes, unbeknownst to us, we were attacked, and during the fight, your library was damaged.
Let
And
me. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting again. Terribly sorry, but what I will go ahead and just say is it's sort of a twofold part here. One is to let you know, if it was not made clear to you already, that a generous donation was made to the library to cover the damage of your last visit.
I did not know that.
Will you be expecting any repetition of that sort of circumstance?
No, that was a mistake on the part of the people that made the donation and attacked the people who attacked us that they sent. That was a misunderstanding on their part. They were pursuing us for something they thought we did that we did not do. And they're not, I mean, we're friends now. So like we work for them now.
All
So
right.
they're not going to be, as far as I know, nobody's coming after us. I just couldn't walk into this building without saying it was me that did it and find out how I can make amends.
Well, Mr. pulls out Windborn, I do appreciate your honesty and forthrightness. You are not banned from the library per se.
Thank you.
However, as much as you are keen to blame the others, and I'm not making any judgment either way on that. It does seem that the reason that you are not banned is because they have made a generous donation. So, I would say so long as the circumstances are not repeated, you are free to browse the public reading rooms.
Okay. Thank you. Um, I will I I will do my best to make sure nothing like what happened before ever happens again.
That would be appreciated.
Um, where can I find books on the religion of Rushama?
Well, would be the religion and spiritualism section, and she directs you. I'm not going to pull out the
Right.
maps for
Yes,
this.
you're right. Well,
Unless
he's
you guys
gonna
are going to pick
go.
a fight with someone in the periodical section or something.
Nope, he's gonna go and read up some more on his religion.
Okay. What I will say is that you do find that discreetly and unobtrusively, it seems like there's a librarian that's always kind of got line of sight on you guys while you're present in the library.
Of course, like when Zinhorn comes into that area, I'm in there
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking to my shadow friend, even though I can't see him. He knows he's still there. And this was our place where we hung out.
Well, as long as you
I'm
do it
just like-
quietly.
Yeah, I'm just whispering. I'm just like,
Mhm.
and it's okay. I know you're still there.
Well, so as far as anyone who actually wants to do some research, it quickly becomes a question of how long are you planning to stay here for? Like, because there's a big difference between the amount of information you can glean from flipping through something for 10 minutes versus staying several hours versus spending a week, right? So, what is the plan?
I don't know what Nedry is going to look up, but I'm going to start looking up stuff about the Lady Despair
Mm-hmm.
and see what I can find about her. So, I mean, just initially, I'm going to skim through and see what I can find. And if I do find stuff, like, I will come back on a daily basis to learn as much as I can about her.
Well, but what I'm saying is, depending on how long you spend, you may or may not find anything. If you're looking for something that's obscure, right? Like, it might take a long time to find anything relevant. I mean, it's like studying the religion of Rushama is like, there's going to be lots of books on that. You could find,
Right.
You could go right to one. But if you're looking for one individual who exists on another plane, there may or may not be any books about that.
Right. Like, I will look, and if I don't find anything, like, I will continue to look, like, every time we come back here.
Okay, but
So, like,
so what I'm asking for everyone is, are you spending the afternoon? Are you spending an hour? What is your time frame is what I'm asking.
I think we would probably spend the afternoon because
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
I mean, Nedry won't even notice time, and you'll have to actually remind him to leave. But so it's on everybody else's schedule.
Yeah. So just for the record, what I'm essentially going to do is, based on the amount of time you're spending, I am adjusting the sort of the DC and what information you might be able to glean accordingly, right? Okay. So to begin with, Zinhorn wanted to look up stuff about Rushama, certainly a subject you're already kind of knowledgeable about, and there would certainly be books about that here. Are you actually looking to come up with something that you don't know already, or is that just we're kind of, in character, you like that subject, you want to read about it?
So I mean, like, he kind of slept through a lot of the religion classes, and my goal is to pick up at some point some in the meta, to pick up a proficiency in religion in
Okay.
general, because it keeps coming up.
Right.
So
there are rules, there are mechanics for that in
okay.
In the downtime rules, although in our campaign we don't tend to do many weeks of downtime, and so
Right.
But like, to get a mechanical benefit from a proficiency would certainly take, obviously, more than an afternoon, right? I
Right.
think usually it takes like as a starting point, it takes 8 full weeks of downtime, but then based on your intelligence modifier, you can reduce it by whatever the modifier is.
Right.
But that's still a lot, right? Where it's assumed that you're spending
Right.
the bulk of the week doing that. And so you can certainly study it, and what we can say is that you're working on that, and it's a long-term project, but we'll just kind of build in the meta that that's been something you've been spending your spare time doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily finding new little bits of lore here, but you're working
No.
on that.
All right.
general
I'm working on a broader understanding as opposed to here's how you do a healing spell and then running out and going and healing everyone I can find.
Yeah. All right. So, so Zaleen was going to look up the Lady Despair. Was anyone else doubling up on that subject?
Yeah, I'll give her a hand.
Okay. So we can have you do an investigation check with advantage, looking for that information.
Okay.
21 is pretty good.
Yep, 21.
Certainly better than 10, the other roll.
Mhm.
21 is pretty good. I think that what you find first are references to the Moon Shadowed Sea, which is sort of her, like, the region that you were told she kind of rules over. And that, to be sure, there's not a whole lot of information on it, partly just because the Feywild tends to be very changeable, and so there's actually not as many places as you would think where it's definitely easy to just like know that a place is going to be there, right?
Mhm.
So I think you do find, though, that there are legends of this place that is in the oceans of the Feywild, which is a general area that's like less understood, but this is one of the notable locations because it has a special property where even non-aquatic, non-water-breathing creatures can travel there, and then you kind of something about the water simultaneously renders you able to breathe and also does not impede your motion in the way that normal water would, but at the same time, at the cost of it makes it more or less like gravity when you're in air, in the sense that you will sink to the bottom and you cannot just trivially swim back up to the top. You would not float, right?
Right.
The water is still there, so you could struggle your way up, but it'd certainly be a lot more difficult than if in normal water. And so there's that property of this region is not well understood, but it does look as though the author of the book you have found thinks that, or at least what they've heard, the story that they say about it is that there is the remains of a Titan in the depths at that location. And although it's not clear why it would have this effect on the water, it is speculated that it is the cause regardless. It's certainly true that, Titan remnants in general are not very well understood.
Okay.
And that as far as going there, it does warn that although it is a place that many try to find because it is reputed to be the place where all lost things end up and therefore could potentially be found, but that it can be hazardous to travel there because although there are many Fey all over the Feywild that really revel in having sort of bargains made with rules that are not necessarily well understood by those outside the Fey, that it appears that there are individuals within this region that are just especially um, malicious in that regard. So it is like the person writing about it is warning that despite its novelty, it is considered a dangerous place to go.
Okay.
And the Lady Despair is name checked as one of those such individuals, but that's about all you get.
Okay. I will write all this down while we're there so I can share it with Nedry later on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'll add that it does note that there are a set of docks, almost like a pier, that has been built around the border of this area where the magic changes the nature of the water. So it's almost like, docks of a city, but it's in just a ring around this space, this region of water, and that you can travel there safely. That is not subject to the other properties, but there are people who stay there,
Okay.
almost like a little floating, border of the city.
I will high five Baldu.
All right. What about Nedry?
Nidri's mostly focusing on travel and essentially safety tips when traveling through
Mm-hmm.
the Feywild. He doesn't know much
Sure.
about it. He hasn't been there. He hasn't really done extraplanar travel deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be very difficult for him, or very different for him. He's done it sort of, I guess, was deliberate, but we didn't do it ourselves. We went through a door.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess navigating and traveling there, if there's, if it would be better for us to have a wagon or some other conveyance
Mm-hmm.
or flight or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, general stuff really.
Okay, so go ahead and make an investigation check.
Let's see. Oh, wow, I crapped out. Got a 13.
Okay. Well, I mean that having a high modifier means that even when you roll low, you still do okay. So some of what you learn is that certainly navigation is distinct from most other planes, certainly the prime material plane, in the sense that uh, whereas in the prime material plane you could stay in one location and it would be night and then day and then night and day, and so again, that in the Feywild it's more fixed. Like if you are in a region where it is dusk, it will always be dusk there. But as you travel, you will move through periods of day and night, but any of those locations are always at that time. And so sometimes when people are giving directions or distances, they will refer to it as a 3-day travel. But that does not necessarily mean that it takes you 3 times a normal day. It means that you are passing through that many phases. And so when someone says it's a 3-day travel, that is rather a measure of distance rather than travel time. And yet even distance and travel time can be very fluid there. As far as like safety in traveling, it is clear to say that, it should never be assumed that all Fae are, malicious, but neither should it be assumed that they are all nice. Many of them can be extremely friendly while having ulterior motives, or vice versa, can be very grumpy and cross while still only wanting the best for anyone they come across. So the initial demeanor is not always reflective of their inner motives. But so basically, it's warning that Fae in general often have an inherent nature to them that is relatively fixed, and is if someone who tricks you once is likely to do it again, and someone who deals with you plainly is likewise likely to continue in that pattern. By and
The
large,
Fey leopard never changes its spots.
or certainly it would take extreme circumstances to produce that. They almost without exception, Fae are very particular about being true to their word. But what that can sometimes manifest as is being very tricky with what they actually say. And so what it suggests is that any people from the material plane traveling there likewise should try to be extremely careful with what they say. And one key example that they give is there are some Fae that if they say, "Can I get your name?" and you tell them that from that Fae's perspective, they now own your name because you gave it to them.
That's pretty tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, not all Fae are necessarily looking to trick people in that way, but by and large, you need to be careful with your wording, how you say things, and think carefully about what has been said to you to avoid accidentally giving away or agreeing something that you didn't mean to. And like this travel guide is saying, like, these are things to be aware of, but like this person seems to be like still saying the Feywild is an amazing, fascinating place to go, and it's frequently wonderful. But by being aware of these things, you can sometimes avoid the more common pitfalls and ideally have a more positive than negative experience. That there's lots of great, wonderful, neat, amazing things in the Feywild, but there are also things that you can fall prey to if you are not paying attention. And so that's one of the big things is that Fae will, if they tell you plainly that they're going to do something, they will probably do it. And if they make a bargain, again, in plain terms, that they will almost certainly do it. It is considered both useful and polite to have lots of things that you can offer sort of proactively as gifts. Although it's true also that some Fae might assume that a gift given unprompted is kind of an expectation of something in return, right? It almost kind of puts a burden on them that they have to give you something in return. And if they don't want to, they might be mad that you gave them something, right? So it's like, try to, be aware of that to some extent. But generally speaking, gifts are both welcome and likely to produce getting something in return that you would also enjoy. So having things that can be given that way it can be sometimes handy too if you need something and you can make as a bargain something that you have right now and can give them right away instead of something promised in the future, which might be more vague or confusing.
And we need to go shopping for gifts.
Yeah. And you don't always know what any individual Fae will like, but that's true no matter where you go. That's not unique to the Fae.
Yep.
And so by and large, those are the basic things is that, you can expect the unexpected, which is not always bad. Sometimes things, the Feywild can be delightful, but generally speaking, just try to be in the moment. Try to, watch what you say and what people say to you, so that you don't accidentally agree to something you don't want. And don't always judge by first impression.
One thing I'm wondering if Nedry stumbles across is any mention of risk to memory from leaving the Feywild.
Yes. It is something that is like the time slippage phenomena. The more times you have slept in the Feywild renders those sorts of things more likely. Often if there are many Fae who can assist with travel back without those problems, but that can of course be something that could be seen as a big favor that would need to be repaid, right? So that can often happen. But generally speaking, the longer you've been there and the more times you have slept there, increases the likelihood that you might lose your memories upon returning, or find that time has behaved strangely.
Okay.
All right. So I think that's the high level stuff you get. You don't really get like any sort of specific things about any other location. But
Is there anything about generally navigating in the Feywild?
I
Because it's a
don't.
big place,
Yeah.
and trying to find the one
I
place we're looking for
I
could be years.
I think I think the general sense you get is like it's kind of not merely difficult but possibly pointless to try to actually have a map of the Feywild, because it kind of stuff sort of changes and moves around in a way that is, it could seem somewhat contradictory given the way that the day and night works, and the fact that it is still sort of a reflection of the prime material plane in some ways. But generally speaking, trying to navigate to a specific location is going to be best done with a guide.
Do we know if the Emerald Arboris can take us to a specific location in the Feywild, or is it they have a landing zone and from there they go?
So it can vary quite a bit. You would have to find out from
Okay.
whatever guide. Potentially, yes. Like just as though the tree Emerald Arboris can touch more than one place in the prime material plane, so it can with the Feywild. But that's not a guarantee that it'll have a place that's nearby any particular place you might want to go, especially one that's underwater.
All right. Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of other ideas. So he's sort of noting down notes, and he opens up another set of pages and creates a few more pages to write another set of second notes. And then there's a third, which has some sketches on it and some ideas on it. And then there's a fourth, which is sort of protective measures that he's planning to create.
All right. So I think you all passed the afternoon in the library. You kind of mentioned it. Would you have already sort of arranged for rooms somewhere? You kind of mentioned that you might, but
Yeah.
okay. So I think that there's a wide variety of places that you could potentially stay at. Ranging all the way from just like simple basic rooms in a quiet area, or something that's a little bit more like a boisterous hostel sort of situation, or fancy nice hotels. Like I think there's a lot to choose from. What sort of general vibe would you be looking for?
I would probably want to go to like the middle of the road place. Like I don't want to go to a hostel because they might steal all our stuff. But I don't
Although
feel
you
like
guys are pretty tough these days, so
yeah, that's
but
true.
up to
Yeah.
you. Certainly, you could afford a nicer place.
Yeah, but I don't feel like we need to go to like the big fancy schmancy place either.
Yeah. Middle of the road would seem very fancy to Zanhort, so
Mhm.
he would feel probably out of place
Sure.
at some place higher. So
Yeah. How many rooms do you get? How do you arrange that? Let's. I will go ahead and you find the Single Tree Hotel, which is it's a 3-story building. It's not huge compared to buildings in Pashan, but certainly compared to smaller buildings you might find in say Emersham. And they have lots of rooms in a big sort of courtyard. They have a pool.
I want my own room just because like Caroline is not here to share with me. But
a-
like,
Yeah.
I will definitely let Zinhorn come over and like go in the tower and hang out with Buster if he wants.
Yeah. I need to.
You get adjoining rooms.
Sure.
One with a desk, please. Appropriately sized if possible. You've got a lot of writing to do.
I think that they do have rooms that are designed for small folk. Shorter beds, chairs, desks, etc.
Some cozy hobbit-sized accommodations.
Oh, and if they have any of that tiny little cups of coffee, I'll have a few of those too.
They have room service that can bring that up for you.
And judging from the number we've had today, this is not going to be a sleeping night.
Baldur take a room of his own, I guess.
Mm.
That seems to be the
All right.
Yep.
way we're going.
Yeah. Okay. So, so you've made those arrangements, but I would say you're leaving the library, and it's it's getting on towards sunset. It's very pretty. There's kind of dust in the air because it's desert outside the city, and so it kind of produces very colorful sunsets.
I feel like if
Cool.
Carolina was here, we could do something really cool because she would know about it. But
Like what?
I don't know. She would know. She'd be like, "Oh, there's this bard that dances on the rooftops or something." I don't know. She knows all those things.
Sounds kind of strange to me.
Oh, I think I know about that bard. He plays a fiddle
Yeah, on the roofs.
on the roof. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
He has a really cool beard, I hear.
Yeah.
I don't know. Carolina would know all about it, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, we could probably go and do something super fun, but I don't know about fun things. She only does.
You could ask the
Oh.
hotel concierge.
Yeah. We go ask the hotel concierge.
He knows lots of places. He's like a matchmaker. He could make you a match.
All right.
This is named Tevye because if it's not, I'm leaving.
Yes. Well, the name of the club is Anatevka. Yes.
Well, there's a lot of well developed hospitality industry in Emerita. It's tradition. Tradition.
A lot of them cater to the wealthy set, though. Because if I was a rich man, I'd go.
Yeah.
If you were a rich man,
Well,
I mean, money isn't exactly one of the things that drives me, but sometimes it seems useful.
all right. So where do we
All right.
want to go? To the
I mean,
nightclub?
we don't necessarily need to do this hour by hour unless you want to. I mean, if you feel like if you want to just say, and then we all settle into our rooms and have the first night where we've all slept in our own room for weeks, and it's chill, and you get up in the morning, like that's okay too. However you want
Yep.
to handle it. I don't want to force you to think of something to do in the evening if you would rather just move on.
I think I would not go out just because Carolina's not there. And I think Evan would be sad about that.
Does Evan
Because,
get his own room, I assume? If you're all each kind of talking about getting your own room, then
Well, I'm in the tower with Buster, so
Okay.
Evan can
have his own room.
he can stay in the tower, he can get his own room, whatever.
There's room service in the hotel, though. Not that the tower isn't great. It really
But
is.
I'm in the room with the tower. I can call for service to bring the stuff. I'm just saying.
Why does the delivery instructions on this bagel say knock on the door, come in, and then open the tower? I don't understand how to deliver this. Nedry would be a little somber and want to talk about what he learned a bit on the way back, but also would
Well, I mean,
insist
you
that
could
the
get
next
dinner
day.
somewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be real time necessarily. But he would insist that the next day.
We really need to go and buy a few things.
Yeah.
gifts and tradable things, and I want to buy something for each of you too.
I think that we might want to think too about this water because, and then I will go into like what I learned about the special properties of that water and how even though we would be able to breathe underwater, like we could very easily get trapped and have a hard time getting out and things like that, that we need to think about that too.
So we need to be able to get out of water.
Well, I mean, like, I know Nedry can do the fly spell, right? Could you fly?
Well-
You could potentially fly out of that water because you're not restricted. But I don't know.
It also
It's very-
depends on how quickly we need to leave.
Right.
Because we could just leave from there. I can activate the stone and we could just leave directly.
I'll remind you too, though, of the warning that Yobert gave you, which is that the sort of the lost and found magic there is that you want to make sure
Oh,
when
right.
you go in like with intention. You don't end up there accidentally, because then you could be considered lost and therefore sort of the property of the place, and
Right.
which might prevent you from leaving at all.
So we have to go in with clear purpose
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and then leave with clear purpose.
Yeah. But the thing is, I mean, everybody was talking about maybe we can reason with her. And just be like, hey, could we borrow this and we'll give it back? I don't think that's going to happen in any way that is going to be good for us. Like from what I've gathered, like the Fae in that area can be very malicious when they're making deals, and she seems like a deal maker.
Like I feel like I've said this before, and I don't want to be sounding like I'm beating a broken drum here, but like, yeah, you definitely not trusting people while we're in the Feywild. That's definitely the way to go. Like, not that
It's not exactly mistrust, I think. Just care in what's being said. Because everything could be taken different ways.
Reinterpreted.
right, and if
Yep.
you cannot, if the words that are being said to me can be reinterpreted to do me harm, then that doesn't really lead me to be trusting of the people who were speaking them words.
But
Like,
not everybody necessarily will do that.
no,
It does sound like it's quite a wide variety of interpretations of that.
but what I guess what I'm trying to get at is, one, I don't trust those over there, like they're tricksy.
Mm-hmm.
And two, the trust in Feywild, because you know I've been there. You just gotta like, trust needs to be harder to come by, harder won in the Feywild than it is anywhere
Right.
else. I guess is what I'm getting at.
And
How
like
much
the research that we did specifically said that the Fae in this region where we are planning to go can be very malicious when it comes to making deals.
Yeah, that probably has something to do with that Titan. I'd like to know more about that too. Baldo, you have experience in the Feywild. What was your experience?
Well, I've been there probably, maybe half a dozen times, but per our earlier conversation, like that all those times added up might be less than, 2 hours in total. I just know that they're tricksy people.
Hmm.
I've been to many places. Well, I almost said I've been to most places, and that would probably be a lie, but I've been to many, many places. And I just never been there for very long.
Okay.
Hmm.
Presence, don't speak. Got it.
Don't make deals.
Well, we'll
No
have to speak at
deals.
times. And I suspect we'll have to make deals too. It's a lot like well, if you go to a market district and expect to get goods, but you don't want to spend any money, I don't think it's going to work. And I think if we're going to get anything done there, we are going to have to make deals. But we just are smart about the deals that we make and how we make them. In fact, that might be the key.
We need to think very carefully about it and make that part of our intention.
Hmm.
Like
And
we
there's
need
really
to really, really focus on that intention and make it spot
there's
on.
really three goals too. I know that we're after the Crystal of Infinite Faces, but I'd really like to restore Lord Yobert's heart and rescue his other half too.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
We're going to need more information.
Yeah, but I mean, I know what you're saying, but also I feel like that will muddy our intention and could become a hazard because we need to have that solid intention. Why are we going there? We're going there because we need the Crystal of Infinite Facets. If we throw in the stuff that we're going there to also help Lord Gobert and rescue his beloved, then it could get really tricky.
And Hubert was not very specific about the bargain that led to his curse, if you will.
He tried to steal her diamond, wasn't
so
it?
what he told you is that he's kind of hesitant and loath to tell you almost anything because he doesn't want to risk breaking some codicil of the
Right.
arrangement, right? But that by and large he ended up in trouble because they were trying to steal it and got caught. And that was the primary fault that needed to be paid for. And that part of the way she tormented him was by allowing him to use the diamond and see that there was nothing that he could do to come out on top. And so that the only possible way for him to live was to accept the bargain she was offering.
Like I feel. Go ahead.
Oh no, and so that was the gist of it, and the deal essentially required him, like he is in his current state with the half of his heart, etc. He is in possession of half of his beloved's heart, and vice versa, but that he is never allowed to visit the Feywild again, and she can never leave.
I mean, knowing what we know, I feel like even bringing Lord Gilbert up could be detrimental to our cause.
Yeah. I think we need to take one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Evan says, I mean, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I mean, is it entirely off the table that we want to just say we need to just kill her and break the whole spell and then we can take the diamond?
We talked about that, but Lord Gilbert said he doesn't know if that would even work.
And she does sound pretty powerful.
But, I mean, I don't know. We might have to really consider that. I mean, we do have Baldu. He's really good at killing.
Someone can make an Arcana check if you want. Or,
Nedry's good at those. I have proficient in those.
I think often Lynn makes those too, but how about Nedry? Go ahead and make it.
Nedry's boning his rolls today, so that's only a 12.
Okay.
I got 15.
Okay. So I think you don't have anything concrete, but you know that the nature of what he's describing does sound kind of almost more like a curse than a spell. and that often curses can have kind of like specific conditions to break them, and that sometimes killing the person who cast it will end the curse, but not always.
I think we did actually discuss that specific thing before, like when we were talking to him.
Just
And
on my keyboard.
yeah, I'm pretty sure we did, because that was the conclusion that we came to, that maybe even killing her wouldn't break the curse.
Well, or that you don't know if it would.
Right.
Plus, with the crystal, she's constantly gazing at it. She's kind of already got the tactics before we start.
Right.
So
We
whatever
talked about that too. Like, there are sort of like limitations to that we might be able to work around.
Right, we don't know that she's actually constantly staring at it. All we know is that she checks it on a regular basis.
Right.
And I know that sounds like splitting hairs, but like that's where all the good meat comes from. You got to split the air open and skin them and peel them and take the bones out before you can cook it.
So-
That's how you get the good meat.
If we could time it so that when she's not looked at it, somehow. Or, wait a minute. Maybe there's an idea there. It only looks so far into the future, right?
Mhm.
24 hours.
So if we distract her for 24 hours, she won't know what's coming next.
That is my understanding.
Mm-hmm. It makes me wonder, like, the stuff that I read today that about like the properties of that area, and that maybe it was caused by like a titan, and then that they think this diamond, this infinite facet diamond, like came from a titan. Like, did she get it originally, like, or did she take it from someone else?
Be right back.
It just makes me wonder, like, if it was that same titan that it came from.
Or is it the result of the Titan being there? There's something about it being the place of lost things that I think is key to understanding all of this. But I haven't been able to think about how. It's strange to try to think about how something which is not there, or which is not found, is important. It's hard for me even to describe it.
Yeah, it's a little confusing to try to wrap your head around. And that's why it's so important that we really mark our intention. We'll have to sleep on it and see what else we can come up with. Get some supplies and go from there.
Yeah.
I think room service brought you more coffee.
I imagine that you kind of were all huddled. You all kind of gathered in one of the hotel rooms, and like a couple people sitting on the bed, maybe one person at the desk. You all got like room service hamburgers or something like that.
Yeah, cheeseburgers. Yep. Once we do call it a night, and like after Zinhorn goes into the tower and I'm meditating, like I want to specifically focus my meditation on like trying to communicate with the Mistress of the Dark
Okay.
about her loneliness and the things that we learned. That when we were talking to Talitha, that she suggested about her, and that maybe, you know, she took someone else's place, and whether or not, you know, she feels lonely because she is by herself. And it is a very lonely job. So I'm kind of focusing on that, like reaching out to her and
Okay. How about you make a religion check?
religion. 23.
Wow. Okay.
Nice.
You're getting all the good rolls that Nedry's not getting. Um, I don't think you get any kind of like an actual verbal message, but I think you do, after a while of this meditation, you do sort of feel her with you. Like you feel a sense of her presence with you. And you realize as she's just there with you and not saying anything that that's maybe kind of an answer all by itself, you know?
And it doesn't feel lonely.
Well, certainly that you feel her presence, you know, like,
Hmm.
you know, she is, you know, not physically here with you, but you feel her. You sense her, you are aware of her. And, you know, she with you presumably.
Hmm.
All right. Anyone else get up to anything interesting overnight?
I'll light some incense and say a prayer.
Okay. Do you want to
Reading until he collapses. Just kind of imagine the joke of like dozens of tiny little cups stacked up around the desk where Nedry is falling asleep on his book once more.
Baldu, were you hoping to produce anything, or are you just that's for just
No, just
flavor?
yep.
All right. Nighttime rituals.
Yep.
What is Zinhorn's bedtime ritual? First of all, I want to know because of the nature of your unusual armor. Like,
Yeah.
you taking it off? What are you doing? You're just laying around in your metal wetsuit.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make him overly hot or cold or anything, and um, I mean, he can snuggle up to Buster with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like before going to bed, he'll make sure all of his weapons are in order, his armor's in order, everything's where it's supposed to be. Buster's clean, his stall is mucked out, stuff like that. Do his prayers. Um, Not trying very hard, but he's trying to get Buster to pray. Um, Not sure he's going to get anywhere with it, but just,
Go ahead and make it animal handling.
okay. $17.
All right. I think that you are able to more or less what you think you're accomplishing here is that you are able to indicate to him through your praying posture that he should not bother you. You don't
Okay.
think that you're getting much more than that.
All right.
All right. So, the night passes and the morning comes. The day is yours, pocket protectors. What would you like
I
to do?
feel like when we wake up, the hotel guy's down there singing sunrise, sunset.
Well, it had both of those, so it's authentic.
Yep.
It's factual. It's a factual song.
That it was sunset, sunrise.
Well, like which comes first, sunrise or the sunset? It's kind of a
Chicken and the egg.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So do we need to do more research, or do you want to go and get some supplies? Should we go over to the tree and maybe talk to some of the guides?
I do want to get some supplies, sort of. Um, I would like each of you to, well, I suppose I could pick myself. No, I'll pick myself. I think it'll be more meaningful that way.
Okay.
But I'll need to find trinkets, small necklaces for sale, and things like that.
All right. So we'll ask the concierge if there's like a market, like an open air market or
Mhm.
something that we could go to, and
I think that there are plentiful. So, yes.
so we'll go do that.
Okay. So, tell me, like, first of all, it's one thing if you're just buying little knickknacks and trinkets and stuff like that, that I don't think we would need to necessarily, deal with you paying 5 silver for something, right? But at the same time, if you are thinking that for these gifts or other equipment that you want something a little more valuable, that's where we start talking about what are you getting, and what are you paying?
Nedry's going to be spending a lot of time looking at necklaces of a wide variety and selecting 7 specific ones.
Okay.
Um, and I have descriptions of what they are, but they can be kind of modified based on what might actually be found. But
I mean, is all this kind of costume jewelry, or are you looking for stuff of more real value?
a little bit, one step up from costume jewelry. At least one of these does have a small diamond, but it's a very, very small diamond.
Okay.
Um, and some of them would be, ask the artisan, can you do this to this thing to have this particular look, that sort of thing.
Okay. Certainly anything that you have made is going to cost more than something that they've just got on the shelf.
Most of the modifications are just simple. That would be the kind of thing where can you take that from that and that from that and you just put them together,
Okay.
but you're effectively just buying both of them and attaching them together.
Are you trying to keep some aspect of these a secret, or you just don't have the list ready?
It's not exactly secret, but he would be still thinking of it that day.
Right.
If anybody notices what he's doing, then he would be looking at all of the rest of them, and there would be sort of contemplative looks up and down, and then pondering off in the distance, and then going to a vendor.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not demanding that you answer if you want to hold some of that close to the vest for the moment. I guess I just, let me know
Mhm.
if there's anything that I would need to rule on in any way. So, like, tell me, I guess, how much gold. Like, I trust you to be fair about what they might cost. How much
Mhm.
gold are you willing to part with for these necklaces?
Um, Probably up to like 100 gold in total. Really, they aren't really fancy. He's in fact not looking for things that are fancy, but he's looking. Well, I'll tell you one of the aspects. They all should be unique. It's not that there's one of these on the rack.
Sure.
It's that this is the one
Okay.
of the variety of things someone has made.
Well, so I think 100 gold divided by 7. I mean, that's definitely in the realm of very nice normal people jewelry, but not the a rich
It's
person.
not ostentatious.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And then there would be, I think, because we would have discussed a little bit about the idea of giving gifts, but honestly, Nedry has no idea what that really means. So he'd be leaving that to anyone else.
Yeah.
Every once in a while,
Is this a gift? I don't know if this is a gift or not.
I would be looking for, like, while he's doing that, I would kind of be looking for things that are bizarre. and potentially like magical, but not overly magical. Not something that's going to be like, oh, this is a 10,000 gold magic item, but like silly sort of things, kind of like the Wand of Smiles type things,
Sure,
where it's
sure.
like,
So you want magical ones.
right,
Okay. Um
but not like really, really expensive stuff, like kind of like Weasley joke magic, maybe.
right. Well, one of the things that I was just thinking of is that we certainly have some random trinket tables that we could roll on if you want things that are just weird or unusual or something.
Yeah, that'd
Um,
be perfect.
so I've got a couple of I've got handy a sort of standard random trinket table, but also because I know it might be your speed, there's also the potential for creepy trinket tables.
Oh, that's the table that I want right there.
I thought you might feel that way.
I need a monkey paw.
And that guy's leg.
No, I really I need it. I need it. Let's see. Let me find one of the creepy ones here. There we go. So here's at least one table. Roll percentile dice 4 times for me, and I'll give you 4 creepy
Okay.
trinkets.
Where is the percentile dice? Oh, there it is.
Oh, it added them all together.
But it
Well,
shows them on mine. It was
Oh,
59.
yeah, okay. Yeah, 59, 99, 94, 4. Okay, so 59 is you find a key, which is clearly to a family crypt that has apparently made its way to a little curio shop here in Emerald.
No.
I just want the fate of the universe for all 4 of these to turn out to be keys.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is so me.
So this is you find a vial of perfume, which to you does not smell like anything, but which the seller assures you that only fey creatures can detect.
Interesting.
So to you, there's clearly liquid in it. It doesn't smell like anything. But the seller insists fey creatures can smell it.
Insight check.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead and make one.
22.
He believes it.
Okay.
Do shadow fey creatures count as fey creatures?
I think if the creature type says fey, then yes.
All right.
That's the ruling. You know, just to have it be a mechanical thing.
Sure.
You also find a tiny spool of black thread that is enchanted so that it will never run out. It's just ordinary thread. It's no stronger than normal thread, but it's kind of like your coil of infinite rope, only it's black thread.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And then you also find a lock. It's like sort of like a padlock, but the way you open it is that you have to drip blood into the keyhole.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are you satisfied with those? If you want more, we can roll on the table some more.
I don't know. Like we might want to mix it up a little bit and like see what Zinhorn thinks, because he has totally different taste than me and Evan, because Evan's probably helping.
I actually even have a whole other table of trinkets, creepy trinkets. There's another one.
Just regular one?
Well, no, I mean,
Oh, they're more
there are
creepy?
definitely lots of trinket tables, but you were rolling on one creepy trinket table, and I have a second creepy trinket table as well.
Ooh, I will go on the second creepy trinket.
Okay.
Should I do 4 again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, if you actually want these, I'm going to say like 5 gold each.
Okay. 37, 77, 59, and 20.
All right. 37. A wolf's head wrought in silver that is also a whistle.
Nice.
A clockwork device that beats like a heart. I think you have to wind it up, but then when you do, it's just shaped like a little heart and goes. Burp, 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 burp.
Oh, that's cool.
59 is a toolbox containing the remains of a dangerous but broken clockwork arachnid.
Huh.
Originally found in Blackreach.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
And then also, ooh, interesting. A bird cage into which small birds fly, but once inside, never eat or leave.
Ooh.
And I think that is once again a situation where I think there's one bird in it now. And the seller says, you know, I know this is unusual, but the bird, if you put feed in there, it will not eat it, and yet it will live on. And you could leave the door open and it will not fly out, although certainly you also would then risk another bird flying in and joining it.
That's crazy. I'll take it.
All right.
I will take all of those creepy things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like 40 gold.
I want to look for stuff that's just on a kind of regular, nice and fluffy kind of table.
Okay, well, so I certainly have. I don't know how fluffy it is, but I could certainly give you the non-horror themed ones.
Yeah, but like happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. How about this? Roll percentile dice a couple times, and I will give you various options, and you can choose from them whichever you feel that you like.
Okay.
Right.
81.
Okay. 81 is a purple handkerchief embroidered with the name of a powerful archmage. And we can decide what that name is. How about it is Aloysius Delacroix. Delacroix.
Okay. Purple handkerchief.
85, a diary with 7 missing pages. And I think in this context, what that means is that all of the pages are blank, but it's obvious that there were once 7 pages in the front of it that have been torn out.
Okay, say that again. It's a diary.
It's a diary. And
Yep.
it's the pages that are in there are blank, but it's obvious that there were 7 more pages in there that have been torn out.
Okay. 21.
Yep. A tiny gnome-crafted music box that plays a song you dimly remember from your childhood.
Not the song, though.
No, not the song. A black pirate flag adorned with a dragon's skull and crossbones.
Okay.
and a mechanical canary inside a gnome crafted lamp.
Say that again, please.
A mechanical canary inside a gnome crafted lamp.
Okay, I like them all.
All right. I mean, we can roll on these as many times as you want. That's the great thing about these 100 entry trinket tables. And
Okay.
it's actually kind of fun. I'm just realizing now that using those for this purpose, where it's like you want to just kind of have a bunch of stuff that you could potentially give as gifts.
Yep. And that was what he wanted, to have 5 gifts that he could hand out. That seems reasonable.
So, is Baldu picking up anything or doing any shopping?
Yeah. Do you have what other flavors of table do you have?
Well, for trinket tables, actually, I bet there might be a Feywild table. Let me look. I think I might have one. If otherwise, those are the ones that I know about. They're sort of I don't want to say generic, but fantasy themed. And then there are specifically creepy ones. And then I think that there might be a Feywild specific one, if that's of interest.
Sure.
There we go. Feywild trinkets. Yeah, so you want to roll on that one?
Let's roll. Let's roll. So we've got in
All right.
order 13.
Well, I can do them in whatever order. So,
Okay.
But 78, a child's parasol covered in moss and leaves.
Find the pen that works.
All right, got it.
Yep.
A severed chicken's foot attached to a leather cord, so you could wear it like a necklace. A large iron fingernail. And a pumpkin cupcake that magically regenerates itself in its paper cup each day at dawn.
You said it was pumpkin flavor?
Yep. I think pumpkin shaped as well.
I will I will choke, apparently. Much better. I will not take the iron nail.
All right.
That seems like the Fae might not like the iron. We'll take the other 3 and then let's see. Let's do, yeah. Do
All right.
okay.
All right. So, a pinwheel whirligig that spins even when there's no wind.
Okay.
A piano key carved from a satyr's horn.
Okay.
A delicate silver cameo with pictures of twin children opposite one another.
Okay.
And a sprig of rosemary wrapped with ribbon at one end.
Yeah, I'll take all of those.
All right.
That'll do. It's 7. And they're 5 gold apiece?
Yep.
All right. I will.
And I think you're all just kind of at a very flea market sort of place. Although you know what, I take it back. All of them except the creepy ones are at a flea market sort of place. The creepy ones were in a sort of a creepy curio shop that looks like it might be closed or abandoned, but technically you open the door and there's stuff in there and someone who will sell them to you.
This is the best day ever.
All right. Shopping accomplished. Of
Do
course,
we
you
want
can
to
always do
go?
more. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
Do we want to go to the tree, or do we want to go to the library first?
I think maybe if the tree, because we might find out other things we need to look up.
That's true. Good point.
All right.
Zenhorn, were you going to say something?
Yeah, yeah. Let's go to the tree and set up our travel.
Okay.
Okay. You're heading. So you're heading to one of the travel depots then.
Yep.
Okay. So as you make your way in the direction of the tree itself, it's straightforward to find the tree. You can see it from pretty much anywhere. You make your way to one of these sort of travel depots, but what you actually see is kind of a surprising number of people sort of milling around the little central area in with kind of a consternated energy to them. And you see that there is on one of these big billboards, there's like a magically created sign where it would normally like list different possible destinations, you know, that are like guides available for, etc. It's been currently replaced with a apologies for the inconvenience. Tree access is currently restricted. Temporarily restricted is what it says.
Oh no. Is there someone around that we could ask about it?
Yes, although right now they're kind of, you can see that they're kind of surrounded by other people, presumably with similar questions to what you might be asking. So like you can kind of try to push through and hear what they're maybe saying to other people, or you can try to do something to make them pay attention to you instead. How would you like to approach that situation?
I'm gonna push through and try to hear what they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can make a perception check, or someone can do it with advantage if a couple of people are helping.
Nedry will hang back. Pushing through crowds is not good for a short guy.
I'll check.
Yeah, I was gonna check too.
Okay, I mean, I got +7.
So do I.
Okay.
The
Then
lowest
I'll
I can
help you.
roll is 19.
All right. We help Tom.
Baldu?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll both help you.
Each of you on both sides of his head with one hand behind an ear.
Yep.
I can't see what I rolled.
Yeah, I know, that's weird. It's like it showed up strangely somehow.
Yes, just as. Let me try that one more time. All right, let me try. 29. Not
well,
20.
and that's a critical as well. I think while everyone else is kind of starting to try to like move through the crowd to the extent that you can without being too like aggressive or really like shoving people out of the way or anything, we sort of pan up to where this person is answering angry travelers' questions, and then Baldu is just like standing right there. And so what you hear, Baldu, is the person telling these travelers is like, listen, the temporary restriction in access is for your protection. We are currently having an incursion from some hostile invaders. I'm sure that it is something that can be handled before too long. We do have precautions, of course, for this instance. We have sent a team up already to investigate the nature of the incursion. But until we have cleared it and rendered it safe, we are not letting anyone go up in the tree at the moment. I'm sure it will be resolved soon, but you're just going to have to wait.
Any chance you need any help clearing out the incursion?
They glance over to you and kind of give you a like, like you seem like adventuring type, not just some ordinary traveler. And
Yep.
It's like
I take out one of Carolina's business cards.
it's like I suppose. I mean, we don't normally take contractors for this sort of work, although certainly, as you can see, it's the longer we have to have access restricted, it causes cascading problems, as you might imagine. Would you be requiring payment or?
Um,
Maybe you could help us get to where we need to go when we need to go there, like a
Uh,
discount or something.
Usually that's negotiated with the specific guide you might be interested in, although certainly I think we could arrange something. Where would you be trying to go?
The Feywild.
We have a couple of guides who are well experienced with travel there. I could certainly put you in touch with what I would consider to be our best Feywild guides.
Okay.
sounds good to me.
Okay.
And whatever we kill, we keep.
All right. Although I would. So here's the situation. I can sort of point you at the vicinity that we believe that we are dealing with. Are you capable of getting to that branch yourselves? Would you need assistance?
Do we
Um,
just climb it, or I mean,
It, that is an option. It is a lot of climbing.
Zinhorn just kind of stretches his wings out.
And so ordinarily, if we could, we could send someone who is good at like navigating to specific branches just to make it a bit easier. But we did send a team up already, and we've not heard back from them. This is a rapidly developing situation, though. I don't know what you'll find up there.
Okay. Can you describe the team you sent up so that we don't, accidentally shoot them?
My understanding is that the incursion we are dealing with appear to be plant-like in nature. They seem to be perhaps hijacking aspects of the tree itself. I'm not entirely clear. We heard a very sketchy report, but the team that we sent up consisted of a male human, a female halfling, and a male tabaxi.
Okay.
And so, if there's anything else that I can answer or assist with, I will. But time certainly is a factor if you're able to help.
what would be the easiest way for us to get up there? If we could fly, would that be easier? Or
If you have that capability, I imagine it would certainly be faster than climbing.
who can cast the fly spell?
Nedry?
I mean, we are readying a team that is intended to try to help with this, but they are still assembling. And so, if you're here and ready to go, it could certainly save some time, and that could, for all we know, be a significant aid.
Yep.
Zinhorn, you can fly.
I can fly. Nedry can cast the fly spell, right?
How many people can you cast it on?
Up
He'd
to
have to
4.
burn a 5th level slot to get the 3 of us.
Well, there's also Evan.
Oh, yeah.
And Buster.
I'm assuming you come back to discuss this because
Yeah.
Andrew can't
Yes.
hear
Yeah.
the crowd.
Well, we can use our usual tactic of beating people in the tower to carry up.
Yeah. That works
Yeah.
for me.
Works for me
We
too.
can pop them out when we get up there.
Right. So, what I'm actually going to suggest is, because this could potentially be, a significant combat encounter, perhaps we cliffhanger there, and
Dun,
we
dun,
return
dun.
to investigate the disturbance at Emerald Arboris when we return for more adventure next time on so many levels.
So
So
many
many
levels.
levels.
branches too, really.
There's a lot of them.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.